You have spent your entire life being told that happiness is just one more thing away, one more promotion, one more purchase, one more milestone, and every single time you reach it, the feeling fades and the hunger returns. That hunger is not a flaw in you, it is a feature of the world you live in. But here is what almost nobody realizes. 3 ancient traditions, separated by thousands of miles and hundreds of years, all arrived at the exact same answer to this problem. And that answer has nothing to do with getting more. It has everything to do with wanting less. The modern world runs on a single engine: dissatisfaction. Every ad you see, every notification you receive, every algorithm-curated feed you scroll through is designed with one purpose: to make you feel that what you have is not enough. Think about that for a moment. The entire digital economy, worth trillions of dollars, depends on you never feeling satisfied. If you woke up tomorrow and genuinely felt at peace with your life, with your body, with your work, with your relationships, the system would collapse. There would be nothing left to sell you. This is not a conspiracy, it is a business model, and it works because it hijacks something deep inside your brain. Psychologists call it hedonic adaptation. It is the phenomenon where any positive change in your circumstances, a raise, a new home, a relationship, produces a temporary spike in happiness that fades within weeks. Your brain resets to its baseline, and the hunger returns. Researchers have studied this for decades, and the data is remarkably consistent. Lottery winners return to their baseline happiness within months. People who achieve their dream career report the same satisfaction levels as before within a year. A 2025 study even found that satisfaction with artificial intelligence tools follows the same pattern. The initial excitement fades, and users keep needing more features, more capabilities, more speed, just to feel the same level of satisfaction. You are on a treadmill, and the faster you run, the faster the belt moves. You never arrive. But this next part is the reason I made this video. 2,500 years ago, sitting under a tree in northern India, a man named Siddhartha Gautama identified this exact mechanism. He called it Tana, craving, the relentless pull toward the next thing, and the next, and the next. He said that craving is the root of all suffering, not because wanting things is evil, but because the belief that the next thing will finally satisfy you is an illusion. The glass is always refilling, and you are always thirsty. And he was not alone. Around the same time, in ancient Greece, the Stoic philosophers were teaching the same principle in different language. Seneca wrote that it is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who craves more. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote in his private journal that very little is needed to make a happy life. He had access to anything the ancient world could offer, and he knew from experience that none of it was the answer. Then there is Lao Tzu writing in ancient China. The Tao Te Ching says, "Be content with what you have, rejoice in the way things are." When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. 3 traditions, 3 continents, 3 completely independent paths of inquiry, and they all arrived at the same place. Contentment is not something you find at the end of a journey, it is something you practice at every step. Now, if you are hearing this and thinking, that sounds nice, but it does not work in the real world, I understand that reaction. This is not about giving up ambition or pretending you do not have real needs. It is about recognizing the difference between genuine need and manufactured desire. And in the digital age, that line has been deliberately blurred. Social media does not just show you what others have. It shows you a curated, filtered, algorithmically optimized version of what others have, designed to trigger maximum comparison and minimum satisfaction. The data confirms this. 88% of women report comparing themselves to images online. Nearly half of teenagers say social media makes them feel worse about their bodies. And roughly 210 million people worldwide now meet the criteria for social media addiction. The algorithm is not your friend. It is a craving machine, and every scroll is another hit of Tana, dressed up in modern clothing. But modern science also confirms what the monks already knew. A landmark study from the University of California found that people who practiced gratitude consistently reported 25% higher well-being than those who did not. Not because their circumstances changed, but because their relationship to their circumstances changed. They stopped focusing on what was missing and started noticing what was already there. The World Happiness Report, released just days ago in March 2026, found that the countries with the highest life satisfaction are not the wealthiest. They are the ones where people report the strongest sense of community, purpose, and contentment with daily life. Finland has topped the list for years. And Finland is not the richest country on earth, but its citizens consistently report feeling that their lives are enough. So what do you actually do with this knowledge? The practice is simpler than you might expect, and it begins with a single shift in attention. Instead of asking, what do I still need? Start asking, what do I already have? This is not toxic positivity. This is a perceptual correction. You are retraining your brain to see what is actually present in your life, rather than constantly scanning for what is absent. The Buddhists call this santosha, the practice of contentment. The Stoics called it amor fati, love of fate, embracing what is rather than resisting it. The Taoists called it wu wei, effortless action, aligning with life rather than fighting against it. Different words, same medicine. Here is what makes this different from ordinary gratitude practice. You are not listing things you are thankful for while secretly wishing they were better. You are practicing the radical act of declaring something complete. Enough, not perfect. Enough. Your apartment, your morning coffee, the conversation you had yesterday. Not because they could not be improved, but because right now, in this form, they hold everything you need. Start here. Tonight before you sleep, name 3 things that are already enough in your life. Not things you wish were better. Not things you are grateful for despite their flaws. Things that are, right now, genuinely enough. Do this for 7 days. Just 7. And notice what shifts, not in your circumstances, but in the weight you carry through each day. The people who commit to this practice, the research subjects, the long-term meditators, the recovering perfectionists, they all report the same transformation, the hunger quiets. Not because life becomes perfect, but because the definition of enough changes. You stop measuring your life against a moving target. You stop refreshing the feed for validation. You stop needing the next purchase, the next achievement, the next milestone to feel okay. And in that stillness, something remarkable appears. Peace. Not the peace that comes from having everything, but the peace that comes from realizing you already do. You discover that the present moment, which you have been rushing through your entire life, is actually where everything lives. Every laugh, every breath, every quiet morning. It was always here. You were just too busy wanting the next thing to notice. This is not about settling. It is about waking up. The monks understood something that the modern world has tried very hard to make you forget. True wealth is not measured by what you accumulate. It is measured by what you no longer need. Something is shifting. Half of Americans reduced their social media use in 2025. More are quitting entirely in 2026. People are beginning to feel it, the exhaustion of always wanting, always comparing, always chasing, and they are turning quietly toward the same truths that monks discovered in silence thousands of years ago. The noise will keep telling you that you need more. It always will. That is its nature. But right now, in this moment, you have a choice. You can chase the next thing, or you can sit with what is here. The ancient truth has not changed in 2,500 years, and it will not change tomorrow. Nothing will ever feel like enough, until you decide that it already is.